Hi Photos subscribers. Today we are talking about lenses for different types and purposes. So lenses of different types, we went over a list of the varying generic names of different style lenses like wide angle, ultra wide angle, zoom lenses, which are the standard zoom. You've got your standard and medium format, you've got your tilt shift, you've got your macro, you've got your telephoto, you've got your super telephoto. It takes a lot of ranges to really get there. What do I buy? When do I buy it? Last time we talked about what's your purpose? What do you need it for? And I really, as a standard, I don't want to encourage y'all just to go out and buy stuff, because more than likely you're gonna buy things that you will end up not really needing. So I'm not saying don't go out and buy, but it's always been my standard and procedure that I make sure that I have continuing use and need of something before I just go out and buy it. You can go out and there's a lot of rental equipment facilities, stores that will let you rent something for a little while. And if you find yourself every month or every couple of weeks going and renting the same thing over and over again, you might consider buying a used item from that same rental company, or buy something new but at a discount on Amazon or somewhere else. The important thing here is I don't want to encourage people to do things that I wouldn't do myself. So because of that, I don't want to say go out and buy this lens, and then you go out and buy that lens and it really doesn't work for you because it wasn't the purpose you needed, or it wasn't something that came up because you used it frequently. It wasn't something that came up every 2 weeks or every week that you would end up needing to use that frequently, and so you really used it once, paid a couple $100s for it, that was, making it something you never used again. So I really don't go out and buy something unless I find I keep coming up and I'm needing it. I'm needing it for this shoot, or I'm needing it for this B-roll, or I need to do some event with somebody else and I just don't have that lens, so I end up having to shoot with their equipment, which throws me off because I don't know their equipment like I know my own. All of that to consider is how often are you going to use this piece of equipment, and is it going to be something that continues to recur? Not just, oh, I'm going to use it a couple times a year. You might be able to go rent something for that and come out ahead in the end because you're spending less money on it overall. If you're going to keep using it fairly frequently, at least once a month, then it actually might be worth going out and buying something rather than renting, so that you don't have to spend the time going back and forth from your rental company to pick it up, or paying that rental money anyway, when after 5 to 10 different sessions of whatever you're selling your time and experience for, you'll recoup that money that you paid into that lens. So what do I need to buy? What is my purpose for the lens? If you are shooting portraiture, I suggest having at least one lens that is 50 millimeters or higher, and that focal distance gives you the opportunity to be at a given distance from your subject while you're imaging. I suggest a zoom lens, so you're going to have something more of a standard style of shoot, something possibly as it's really not a telephoto, but something in that range of 70 to 240 millimeters. And that'll give you the option to be a little bit further away, but it'll be about twice as far away as it would be with a fixed focal length lens of 35 millimeters. So a 70 to 200 lens would be a fairly good lens to be able to use, which is telephoto, and it give you that option to be closer up to somebody or a little bit further away, so that like we discussed in a previous photo video, you won't have to be as close to them. That lighting won't have to be as compressed either. So what about flare? When it occurs, you can use it as an artistic expression. I've seen a lot of children portraiture, they'll use that flare and kind of give a little bit of an artistic view to the flare also. But if you don't want flare, what happens and why you get flare is there's a reflection of a light by an angle, usually it's a slight angle refraction, that your lens is catching the direct view of a light, and it's starting to flare in your different lens panels, from your very first lens to the inner lens to the reflecting lens to the, so we'll get into how a lens is made and what it looks like and how it works later. But that view your lens has of that light is what causes the flare. And so if you want to avoid that, allow your camera to come away, move back yourself from your lights so that you're not getting that odd angle reflection into your lens directly from that light, and that'll cut out your flare. If you want to use flare, then play around with it. Figure out where that flare is coming from and figure out how to position that flare just right in your approach of your lens so that you're not distorting the view of your subject's face as you shoot the portrait, but also that it gives perhaps a leading line to your subject so that it draws the viewer's eye to the subject's eye in the photograph. A flare really is just the artistic expression of the glare without that harsh view of distorting or creating any kind of inability to see through whatever that is that's causing a glare or that flare in your lens. Now, we discussed some portrait photographers use that glare for a purpose, and it's artistically done. So because of that, they intentionally knew it was there, they formed it, and they allowed it to flow through their portrait for a specific purpose and a specific direction to be able to do a specific task. And all that can be done. It takes some experience, it takes some practice, and setting up that key light, that one light that's going to give that flare, and know just how it reacts in that lens, because each lens has different number of lenses or a different type of glass, and it's going to flare differently. So you might even need to take a little bit of time to figure out what lens style for your manufacturer's camera body, does the flare better, and what specifically you need to buy for flare if you want to add that into your portraits. Another way to prevent flare is to buy a lens hood. Put a lens hood on that lens so that it's not getting any kind of spill over light from any light that you're shooting a photo with. So in that use of light, your light is not spilling over from any one of the 4 lights that's lighting your subject, or the background lights, or maybe hair light that's shining from the direction of your background toward your camera lens. There's a lot to consider here, but if you are going into portraiture, you're going to want to think about how many lights you need, their placement, the placement of your subject, and how your camera is going to see those lights and where they're lighting specifically. So you don't want to get caught within the lit area and cause that flare or distortion in your lens, but you're also going to want to make sure that it lights your subject properly. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, ring that bell so that you don't miss any of our future videos, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much.